I've got a great Druid build that will help you get to World Tier 3 and beyond in Diablo 4. It's got some great damage thanks to powerful lightning spells, some amazing survivability for when the enemies start hitting back, and even a way to give yourself guaranteed crits for 5 full seconds. We'll walk you through all the active skills for the build first, as well as some legendary aspects from dungeons that can really help. And then we'll round out things by talking about some important passive skills and our choice of key passive, which might actually surprise you. So the basic skill we're going to be running for this build is Storm Strike. It's a melee attack that bounces electricity between up to 3 nearby enemies, but it does much more than just that. For starters, as soon as you hit an enemy with this skill, you'll gain 25% damage reduction for 3 seconds. This buff has no cooldown, meaning you can keep resetting the timer as long as you keep attacking. By also picking up Enhanced Storm Strike, you gain a 15% chance to immobilize all enemies hit, so that includes those struck by the chain lightning. And then to make it even better, we're also taking the Fierce Storm Strike upgrade, which also adds a 50% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. Vulnerable enemies take 20% more damage, so having a 50% chance to trigger this debuff on your basic attack is really good. Next, we're picking up our core skill, and while I swap between Tornado and Lightning Storm during my playthrough, I ultimately feel that Lightning Storm is the better pick here. It's a channeled spell, and the longer you channel it, the more lightning bolts will appear. You'll be standing still while casting it too, meaning it's great to pair it with the aspect of Inner Calm that increases your damage the longer you stand still. You unlock that one from the Wraithwind Wilds dungeon in Skullsglen. But yeah, at first Lightning Storm needs some time to charge up to its full potential, but we're also grabbing the Enhanced upgrade, which preserves the size of your Lightning Storm for 4 seconds after channeling. You'll see this little meter appear above the ability, and as long as you recast it before the timer runs out, you'll still be at maximum power, and it also resets the 4-second timer. We're also grabbing Raging Lightning Storm, which grants us an additional lightning strike, meaning the ability is even stronger at maximum charge. Now the most important thing to make this build work is maintaining your rhythm with the Lightning Storm cooldown. You'll deal way more damage if you can consistently keep your Lightning Storm at max level, but core skills of course require spirit, so you need to mix in some Storm Strikes to get that back. So what I found is that increasing your basic attack speed makes maintaining that rhythm a lot easier. And as a Druid, we actually have 2 easy ways of accomplishing this. The first one is by selecting the Swooping Attack Spirit boon. If you want to grab this specific one right away, it is part of the Eagle Spirit set of boons. But then we want to stack that with the Rapid aspect that you get as a reward for completing the Buried Halls dungeon in the Dry Steppes over here on the map. This one also increases your attack speed, so by stacking these two together, your Storm Strikes will be much quicker, allowing you to easily build up spirit in the 4-second window you have before Lightning Storm resets. Those 2 skills are your bread and butter for dealing a lot of damage, but we can also become almost unkillable thanks to our defensive skill, Earthen Bulwark. At max level, it gives you a barrier worth 63% of your base life. Sure, it only lasts for 3 seconds, but that's more than enough to reposition yourself and pop a healing potion. Plus, with the first upgrade, you also become unstoppable, meaning you're completely immune to crowd control effect while the barrier is up. I also picked up the Innate upgrade, which makes the barrier detonate when it is destroyed or runs out. We can also increase the duration by picking up the aspect of Mending Stone from the sealed archives in the Dry Steppes, which are over here on the map. Having this one on an item increases the duration of Earthen Bulwark by 6 seconds, so up to a total of 9, which is already an incredible upgrade. The other benefit won't do as much for us, as it restores part of the barrier when killing enemies with Earth skills, but the extra duration alone is more than good enough to justify picking it up. By the way, if you liked the video so far, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe as well to not miss our future Diablo 4 builds and tips. Up next for our companion skill, I picked the Poison Creeper. These roots will passively seek out enemies to poison them, but the main reason we're picking it up is the amazing active ability it offers. When you activate the Poison Creeper skill, a circle of vines will appear around you, and each enemy in the circle is poisoned and immobilized. This is our source of crowd control for the build, so remember to also hit the boss with it during boss fights to fill up their stagger meter to eventually stun them. The base duration on this immobilize effect is 2 seconds, but we're grabbing the Enhanced upgrade to increase that to 3. And to also give this spell some extra offensive offensive utility, we're going with Brutal Poison Creeper, which increases our crit chance against enemies strangled by the Poison Creeper by 20%. So you can either use this skill to lock a group of enemies in place to run away, or use the Immobilize effect to make sure they don't run away while you get extra crit chance on them. The next skill in the build also brings both offensive and defensive benefits. Hurricane deals damage in an area around you for 8 seconds, so it's a great source of extra damage that will just hit anything that gets close to you. Picking up the enhanced upgrade also slows enemies hit by 25%, and then I chose to go for the Savage upgrade, which decreases the damage for enemies affected by Hurricane by 20%. If you don't need the extra survivability, then going for the natural Hurricane upgrade is totally a solid option too. And then for our powerful final ultimate skill, we're picking Cataclysm and its 2 upgrade nodes. This will summon a massive storm to follow you for 8 seconds, with lightning strikes hitting nearby enemies and tornadoes spawning in that push enemies back. Because we're getting both upgrades as well, the duration is increased by 2 seconds and the lightning strikes will make enemies vulnerable as well. If you want to make the storm last even longer, the Calamity Spirit boon in the Wolf Tree increases the duration of your ultimate skills by another 25%. And if you really want to go crazy, putting some points in the passive Endless Tempest skill increases the duration of both Hurricane and Cataclysm by 5% per point for a maximum of 15. So my Cataclysm now lasts for over 14 seconds as opposed to the basic 8. Plus, like Hurricane, once you activate the ability, it lingers for a while, so it's really satisfying to activate Cataclysm and Hurricane and then go ham with your basic and core skills and just watch the enemies melt. Now, while there are a lot of passive skills that can improve various aspects of this build, there are 2 that I really recommend adding. The first is Circle of Life, which lets you heal for up to 3% of your max life when using an ability that spends spirit. Since Lightning Storm consumes a little bit of spirit for each barrage of lightning bolts you summon, you're getting healed each time you spend spirit. So great synergy between these skills. I also have 3 points in the Bad Omen passive, which gives you a small chance to spawn a lightning bolt when hitting a vulnerable, immobilized or stunned target. Since we can proc the first 2 status effects with our basic skill, we have a decent chance of triggering lightning bolts for extra damage when simply hitting enemies. And then to round things up, we're picking our key passive. Now this seems like an obvious choice as we're picking mostly storm skills, and the only key passive that helps with that is the Perfect Storm, which is totally a solid option, but I have actually been using a bit of a different version of the build based on a legendary amulet that I found. Thing is, the aspect on that amulet is required for this other version to work, as it allows the Earthen Might key passive to also trigger on storm skills. As you might have guessed by the name, the regular version of this passive only works on earth skills and gives you a small chance to gain a buff on a hit that instantly restores all your spirit and gives you guaranteed critical strikes for 5 seconds. But with this amulet equipped, we get the same benefit on any storm skill, so that's Storm Strike, Lightning Storm, Hurricane and Cataclysm. Considering how often we are hitting with our storm skills, this effect is arguably even stronger than it is on earth spells, and hammering down enemies with lightning bolts with every hit being a guaranteed crit is very powerful. Again, the regular version of the build is already really strong, but if you've got an item with this aspect on it, definitely use it to take it to the next level. But if you're not getting lucky, we also have a video on some amazing unlocks you can get early that are not RNG dependent. You can watch that one by clicking on the screen and subscribe as well to not miss out on future Diablo content. Leave a like if you enjoyed this